From the fantasy armchair, it is the Fantasy TyRant. Hey there, fellow fantasy football freaks. Welcome back to the fantasy armchair. Week 2 just finished up, and it's down in the books. A crazy week that was. A lot of injuries to work through. And we'll talk about those and some other things on this show. Because you know what injuries means. It means waiver wire targets. And that's what this episode's about. So who should you pick up? I'm going to let you know here in just a little bit with my top 10 waiver wire picks for week 3. Before that though, we're going to do a little exhale on week 2, a segment I call the TyRant. Real quick though, if you like what I do, go ahead and hit subscribe there. If we get 300 subscribers before the end of the month, yeah, I've got something awesome planned for the month of October. Hit that bell too, so you can be notified of when new shows drop. If you don't want to miss an episode this season, like and shares as well. Thank you so much for your support, but enough of that, because it's time for the TyRant. Taylor Heineke, the next Tom Brady? No, Tua went down. So you know what else goes down? Waddle's production. Sad shit right there. Looks like Trevor Lawrence is just content to spread it around. Gonna be hard to figure out that offense for fantasy. Pittman finally looked as good as we saw him look last season. How's he gonna look now? I hope not bad, because I love this kid's potential. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I loved watching Najee Harris run this week. The stiff arm he was doing looked like AP out there, for sure. I told you all, don't be worried about this kid. So we all started DJ Moore, and those who didn't watch my show probably started Robbie Anderson. Who the fuck is Brandon Sildrum? Seriously, anyone? Anyone know? No? Cooper Kupp is a fucking megastar with Stafford at the helm. If you drafted him, good on ya. Alright, so remember I was telling y'all who had Corey Davis? That might be a good idea to send him this week. Even though Stephon Gilmore is out, he was mentoring J.C. Jackson, his replacement, to take care of Davis in his stead. So I said, still sit Davis, I don't like him. And guess what happened? J.C. Jackson had 2 interceptions. Just as many interceptions as Corey Davis had receptions. 2 receptions, 8 yards. Told you! Is Hurts still a stud? Yeah, he is. The Niners D has finally fully gelled after that injury-riddled season. So yeah, they're gonna be a force to reckon with. But Hurts still managed over 20 fantasy points. Even in a bad game, Hurts is still a QB1. So stop asking about him, set him, and forget him. Barber out-touched Drake, and Drake kept his role as the change of pace back. Told you. Who the fuck is Baker Mayfield gonna throw to now? Probably no one. They're probably just gonna have to run it 80% of the time. Austin Hooper's value goes up a little bit. Maybe Anthony Schwartz, but not by too much. That's about it. Bryan Edwards would be having a breakout season if his touchdowns didn't keep getting called back. Heinous Jameis is back, folks. Wow. Still doing the famous Heinous bit. Are we, Winston? Ugh. If you were there for the Tinker Stinker Power Hour this past Sunday, you would have heard me talk about how Josh Allen had visions of Dawson Knox in his mind, and that he would be worth a start this week. Hey, you gotta watch the show to know. For the second straight week, I called Cooks a start. And for the second straight week, I said Kirk Cousins was a top 10 QB. And for the second straight week, a lot of you ridiculed me for it. And for the second straight week, they both proved me right. What you gonna do now, naysayers, huh? You jamokes? What you gonna do? Nothing. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna watch this show, and you're gonna smarten up. Or you're gonna continue to suck ass. And I told you all who are worried. Zeke is fine. Henry is fine. I'm worried about J-Rob, and I'm worried about Saquon. Look what happened with all 4 of them. Hey, again, watch my show if you want to win big. I told you all that if Jared Cook had a good week in a plus matchup, or he should have had a good week, I would take him off the shit list. Guess what? In a great matchup, when everyone else had him as a start except for me, he did absolutely nothing. 2 catches, 28 yards, nothing. And you know why? Because he's a bum. He's always been a bum. He continues to be a bum, and he always will be a bum. As soon as I find my shit list, Cliff Kingsbury, you're going on it. I'm sick of your crap. I'm sick of you disrespecting my baby boy, Chase Edmonds. Every week, he outproduces in yards per carry over anyone else that you start. But you keep giving those other jamokes carries at least as much, if not more than Edmonds, which makes no sense. Sorry, I couldn't find my shit list, but I will find it, and once I get it, Cliff Kingsbury, you're going on it. Tyson Williams owners must have collectively shit their pants when they saw Devin Duvernay vulture that weird touchdown literally right out of the hands of Williams. That was nuts. And that's it for your tirade this week. So let's move on with my top 10 waiver wire picks for week 3. Number 10, Sam Darnold. I figured this list couldn't be just RBs and wide receivers, so here's Sam Darnold. Seriously though, he's a serviceable QB hovering around 20 points per game consistently. And yeah, this is more for 2 QB or Superflex leagues, but even in 1 QB leagues with bye weeks coming up in a few weeks here, he might be a good stash. Plus, he's got a better schedule moving forward against weaker opponents as the season rolls on, including a date to dine at the Fantasy Fiesta that is the Dallas Cowboys in week 4. So if you waited a long time on QB and you're streaming him or you're rolling with the committee, this is a good guy to have. He takes on the Texans in week 3, so go get him. Number 9, Philip Lindsay. I told you all in the beginning of the season that eventually Lindsay would be the back to own for the Texans. Everyone hopped on Ingram because of his performance last week, but I don't think that was the best move. This 3-headed monster of a rush attack isn't going to produce an RB1 or even RB2 most weeks. But of all of them, Lindsay will prove to be the most useful as like a James White kind of player, especially now that Davis Mills is at the helm. Much more valuable in PPR for sure. I'm not starting him yet, but worth a stash to see how things pan out, and definitely useful in bye weeks. Number 8, Henry Ruggs. Yeah, I know. Trying to predict the top wide receiver for the Raiders each week is like trying to date a stripper. Almost impossible to manage, and even if you do, is it really worth the headache? Anyway, I think at this point, Ruggs playing well this season makes us excited because, lest you forget, he was taken as the first wide receiver off the board with the 12th pick in the 2020 draft by the Raiders. And while that move made it seem like Al Davis came back from the dead to make the pick, leaving better prospects like CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy left on the board, Ruggs is still a talented player and only in his second year, so if he's putting it together, we better take notice. I'm not saying blow all your fab or your top waiver wire priority on him, but if his recent usage is a sign of things to come, he may stave off the uprising of Renfro and Edwards in this Raiders offense. Worth a kick at the tires at least. Number 7, KJ Osborne. He was an honorable mention last week, but this week he makes the list. When Irv Smith went down, while everyone else was scratching their heads trying to figure out if his touches would go to Herndon or Conklin, I was like, nah, they're going to go with 3 wideouts, and I like Osborne. Now here we are, he's the clear number 3 wide receiver for the Vikings and is getting more and more attention as time goes on. Kirk Cousins loves this guy, and should something happen to Thielen or Jefferson, KJ could be huge. He's already produced more than Jefferson and sits as the wide receiver 19 after 2 weeks. Now I'm sure he won't stay up that high in the list, but he should be owned in most leagues. And the thing is, he's only owned in less than 5% of leagues on all platforms. Damn, that number needs to go way up. For now, he's a flex play in deeper leagues, but could be a flex in 10-teamers on weeks with good matchups. And that's just his floor. Worth a spot in your reserve, so snag him up. Number 6, Tim Patrick. Cortland Sutton looked way better this week, as it seemed he was testing out his leg in week 1, hence his lack of production. In week 2, looks like he's just fine. But Jody's still out for a while, and while he is, Tim Patrick will be the number 2 wide receiver for the Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater was looking for him over KJ Hamler, and most weeks, Patrick will flirt with flex numbers and may be better in deeper leagues. I told you to get him last week, and a lot of you didn't listen. He's still available in over 75% of leagues. If he's there in yours, get him. Number 5, Alexander Madison. We aren't 100% certain on Cook's condition at the moment, and that could move Madison up or down, depending. Either way, he needs to be owned in most leagues. If Cook's not down, he could go down at any time, and if he does, Madison will be an RB2 in at least most weeks. And next week, he'd be getting the Seahawks D who just got murdered by King Henry. Seattle let themselves get trampled like a dude with a foot fetish. No, Madison isn't a one-for-one copy of Cook like some fools have postulated in the past, but he's still one of the most valuable handcuffs, and if Dalvin's out this week, he should be owned and started in all leagues. Get him now before it's too late. Number 4, J.D. McKissic. If you forgot what this cat did last season, you might pay him no mind, and that would be a big mistake. With Heineke now at QB, I see more of a pass-first offense that works right into more touches and targets for McKissic. Gibson's touches will work itself out, but McKissick will still be in line for a boon of fantasy goodness as the passing down back. In PPR, this dude's gonna be a valuable commodity. Pick him up and see how his utilization goes throughout the season. If it gets more consistent, he could be a league-winning pickup. Get his ass now. Number 3, Zach Moss. The Bills' backfield is a conundrum, which sucks because it could be lucrative for those who can decipher it. I'm not sure what Coach McDermott's plans are here, but Zach Moss does have a place in them, it would seem. But Singletary still got more touches in week 2. I think Moss will work his way more and more into the offense, and if Singletary were to go down, or McDermott decides to go all in on him like he should, you could have a solid RB2 on your hands if you pick Moss up. So get him and see where this goes. But I think, sooner than later, Moss gets the touches to warrant his consideration as a valuable fantasy asset. If you have the room, he's worth the ad. Number 2, Kenny Gainwell. I've been hyping this kid up since the preseason, and he keeps inching his way into the Eagles' rotation more and more. He already beat out Boston Scott, and now he's cutting deep into Miles Sanders' production. It's getting closer and closer to a 50-50 split, and if Gainwell keeps looking as good as he has been, he could overtake Sanders as the RB1 for the Eagles by midway through the season. He already has standalone flex appeal, but should something happen to Sanders, you could have a sneaky borderline RB1 here. I had him on the list last week, but have him even higher this week. He's still only owned in just under 40% of leagues. Likely, he's still there for you. Another potential league-winning pickup here. Don't miss out. And my top waiver wire target for week 3, Rondale Moore. I love Christian Kirk, and I think he and Murray formed a tight bond, but Rondale Moore is head and shoulders above Kirk as an athlete. Take like the strong, stout body of Antonio Brown and cross it with the speed of Tyreek Hill. Rondale Moore would be like a liger.
What's a liger?
It's pretty much my favorite animal. It's like a lion and a tiger mixed. Bred for its skills and magic.
The best combination of both. Yeah, he was in slightly less than 50% of the snaps, but I guarantee that usage goes up in the following weeks. Sure, he's on the short side, but his speed and ability to catch on the run and adjust his body to do so is more than enough to make up for that. This kid's gonna be a stud next season, but should put up some gaudy numbers this season too. Kyler Murray and the Cards offense are gonna light up the scoreboards all season long, and Rondale Moore could be the number 2 target in the very near future. Wide receiver 3 or flex right now, those numbers will go up with usage. He'll be practically gone if you don't get him this week, so if you need help at the wide receiver position, spend your fab, blow your top waiver priority, whatever you gotta do. Moore will be golden here pretty soon. Don't let him pass you by. Some honorable mentions real quick. Danny Dimes was not on this list because Danny Dimes sucks and a little bit too much ass. Yeah, he's scoring points, but he's unreliable. His points that he's scoring are unreliable. He's like the new Blake Bortles, right? You never know what he's gonna do. He's gonna do shit for the whole game, but then garbage time happens, and he makes stuff happen. For some reason, he ends up getting fantasy points out of nowhere. So he may Bortle his way into fantasy production, but he ain't Bortling his way onto my team. Too unpredictable. Now his main target, Shepard, that's a different story. I like Sterling Shepard, but he's not qualified for my top 10 waiver wire pickups because he's owned in over 57% of fantasy leagues. But if he happens to be available in yours, pick him up. Zach Pascal is someone we can't ignore. He's been getting production over guys we have ahead of him, like Pittman. I don't know why, because Pittman's a better talent. Maybe things will change with Jacoby Brissett there. We don't know. We'll have to find out. And that's why I don't have him in my top 10. Cordero Patterson is now the gadget guy. I just need to see a little bit more before I pick him up. Tony Pollard is owned in about 53% of leagues, so he doesn't make the cut to make the list. However, if he is available in your league, you better get him. And if you're a Zeke owner and you don't already have him, what the fuck are you doing? You shouldn't even be playing fantasy football. Go play like with a cup and ball or some shit. So that's it, folks. Week 2's behind us. Good luck in week 3. Now I'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, for a new show, a new live streaming show I call Mixed Notes. 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, all right? I'll see you there. And subscribe if you haven't. We need 300 subscribers before the end of the month. And if we do, I've got something kick-ass planned for you. Again, thanks for your support. Check out my Patreon down there in the description if you need some one-on-one counseling every week. I'll see you tomorrow for Mixed Notes, all right? Till then, I'm out. Peace.